This conference will now be recorded.
I can't hear you. Your mute is on.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. How are you? Hope everybody's good.
I would imagine, yes. Most people are happy on mute.
Right. Okay, no problem.
Also,
so
if I could also mention, sorry, Debbie, that as we go, if you guys have questions, please put it in the chat. And Debbie and I will address these questions at the end, okay? So just letting you know about that. Sorry, take it away, dear Debbie.
No problem. Take it away, Hair. So hi, everybody. My name is Debbie Dunn. I am the founder and CEO of Entyce Beauty Naturally. So we have a natural plant-based hair and skincare line, which is herb infused, and we use medicinal herbs. So herbs that help to heal and support the hair, the skin, and the body. And so all our products are handmade, and we use, like I said, real herbs. We don't use like synthetic extracts or chemically based extracts. We use the actual plants. So we do a lot of grinding and infusing. So that's kind of the basis of the product. I suffer with health issues myself and hair loss, and so it was a journey. It took a long time, but what ended up happening is I was able to come up with some formulations sort of just on my own with different herbs and treatments I would use, and that's kind of how it evolved into the product line. So yeah, so Energy Shack does carry some of the products as well, so you can always get them there as well. And so she's not just a client, she's a customer too. So they use the products, kids use the products, families use the products. So I just wanted to say that as well. And I'm really delighted to share. I'm also a holistic nutritional practitioner. And so I kind of look at things as well from what you're putting in your body, and also, you know, not just what you put on your body, but what you eat, because they really correlate. So but your skin is actually the largest organ. Did anybody know that? I don't see the chat. Everybody knew that? Put if you knew, or you can just say yes, unmute, to say if you knew or you know that the skin is the largest organ. It's harder for me to read, so it'd be better if you guys just stick it in, just kind of unmute and say just comments, because at least then I could have like a fluid conversation.
Yeah, we had a liver detox seminar just before the holidays, and we were talking about the skin being the largest detox organ, but ultimately it's the largest organ.
Exactly, exactly. So did anybody on the call know that?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Excellent, excellent, right. So it's really important to, you know, understand what you're putting on your skin and being aware of what you're putting on your skin as well. So I'll kind of go to the video. So it's just a brief sort of overview. It's always important to educate and empower ourselves with information as to what it is we're doing and what it is we're using. And so, oops, sorry, went way past. As you can see, it's just a little, sorry about that. Wow, okay, it's the first time I'm on this platform, so excuse me. All right, try to get out of here, 1 second. All right, so we're really gonna focus on 5 sort of common toxic ingredients in products at this point. There's several, and so just having a good understanding of what those are is really important. You really want to be cognizant of what you're putting on and in your body. Label reading is really important. So are you looking at what's not necessarily at the front of the label, but what's at the back of the label? Because that's actually more important. It's great, people can say, yes, this is coconut oil, olive oil, you know, whatever it is, it's all natural. But the key is actually looking at the actual ingredients. So, you know, looking at the front is one thing, but flipping it over and taking a look at what's also inside of it. And, you know, are there things you can pronounce in there? Is it easily readable? There are a lot of pegs and colors and color 44 and dimethicones. You know, you really want to look at that. And just as well with like eating foods, right? You know, you buy something in the grocery store, you want to take a look at not just what's on the front, but what's in the product that you're having as well. And so it's really important as well to advocate for yourself. Advocating is important because if you don't advocate for yourself, who's really going to, right? And then you know yourself best, especially when it comes to hair. I find that I have a lot of clients that will come to me and will say, okay, well, you know, they were a particular hairdresser or this happened, they were at the salon and, you know, they were getting their hair braided and it was really, really tight and they couldn't sleep. Has anybody ever experienced that? Just unmute.
Oh yes.
Yeah, okay. And so just to ask a question, so in that situation, did you say the person before they finished your hair that it was too tight? Or did you actually wait till your hair was completed and did you adjust it at that time?
Well,
Sorry?
where am I? Okay. Yeah, well, in my case, at first I didn't used to say anything.
Oh, you can bring it?
Let it go and then I suffer. But now I do tell them right up front. I say I don't want it tight. And if I feel it tight, I'll tell them that it's too tight.
Yes.
But when I first started braiding, I didn't used to tell them.
Yeah. Okay. And that's very common. What's your name?
My name is Ivis.
Hey, Ivis. Yeah, that's very common. So what Ivis is saying is actually really common. A lot of times, you know, we go somewhere, they're doing our hair, and it, you know, you kind of feel like, you know, pulling, and you don't necessarily say anything because you know maybe just maybe it'll be okay, it'll be okay. But then as you have your hair completed and you kind of go home and you realize that it's really, really tight, you can't sleep, it creates something called traction alopecia over time. So it's where the follicles are constantly being pulled, right, against the bulb, like at the base of your scalp. And so it can create hair loss and spotting and obviously pain. So what Ivis is saying, it's very common. So I'm really happy that you've started to actually advocate for yourself because it's really important. Because if you don't do it, no one's going to do it because your hair, it's how you feel, it's what you're feeling. So I would just really suggest for anybody else in the call that, you know, maybe is not advocating for themselves to make sure that you do that in these instances. It's really important. Okay. So we're going to focus on really 5 common ingredients, you know, that are more sort of harmful ones. There's tons, but we're going to kind of concentrate on 5. So let's talk about hair for a second. So there's all kinds of hair. Everybody has different types of hair on their head. So whether your hair is straight, which usually requires hair oils to have in your hair, whether your hair is wavy, it's really aimed to maintain curls without like frizz, because usually curly hair, it can tend to have a bit of frizziness to it, especially once it's dry, right? Usually hair is good when it's wet, right? The follicles bulb up, you know, it's a little bit different, but as soon as it's dry, it can tend to frizz. And then we have like curly hair, and then of course there's different stages. Curly, there's 3, B, and C, but just as a high overview, curly hair as well is another type, and depending on how you wear your hair will also depend on how you style your hair, right? The versatility of hair is very unique to everybody, and so you really want to have products that are unique to what it is you're trying to achieve, and or what it is you're trying to solve, right? If there's a problem with your hair or a concern with your hair, those are all personalized, and depending on your hair and your issues or your concerns, those are the products that you'd want to use to help you to support those concerns. And then kinky hair. And again, hair goes in different, the curl patterns go in different shades. So you go from straight, wavy, curly, kinky, coily. And again, how your hair type is, which is important to understand, your hair type, the porosity of your hair, that will also help you to determine what you use. And I will say that how your hair is naturally is one aspect of your hair, because as we know, hair manipulation is very common. So you can have kinky hair and you chemically process it. You could have curly hair and you do like a Brazilian blowout, so you straighten it. You can have bone straight hair and you curl it, perm it. So you can color it, you can lock it, you can wear units. Some people wear units, so wig weave. Some people you do like different manipulations in terms of crochet braiding, braids. So how your hair actually grows and how you style it can be very different, as we know. And that's important to understand too, and being able to support that. So if you're having, for example, if your hair is colored and you go from your dark to very, very light, you also want to maintain that you're not creating breakage and damage in your hair as well, right? So those are important. So this is really important to understand because as you can see, just move this over here. So you have your follicular unit, you've got your sebaceous glands. I don't have a pointer, so I'm kind of going, you have your epidermis, you've got your dermis, hair follicle. And then you see at the bottom layer with between the red and the blue, you see fat. And so you see where it says terminal hair, which is a bigger bulb. That bulb runs in the base of your veins, your arteries, your nerves, as you can see. So the red here, you can see they're actually directly connected to your hair follicle. And so, you know, just as what you put on your skin will absorb into your skin and into your body, into your bloodstream. So it's really important to understand that. You know, when you're putting on creams, when you're putting on products on your scalp, just be mindful that the connection is really close. Like the connection is, it's right here. You can see it: follicle, dermis, epidermis, you know, hair follicle. They're all intertwined, and they all connect. So when people say, "Oh, it doesn't really matter what you put on your body," it's not going to make a difference. It does make a difference. So that's really important to understand. Just when you eat food, you know, it's going into your system, it's going into your stomach, right? You got to digest it, your small intestines, your large intestines, your colon. So it goes through a process, and it goes in. It's an internal thing as well. Oops. Okay. Right, so again, as you can see at the base in all hair follicles, whether your hair is straight, wavy, curly, or coiled, you can see at the very base of that hair that it attaches at the bottom of that hair follicle, okay? And then this is just another overview, just then you can see the dermal papilla with the very bottom, which is what I was saying to you in the other image that was colored. The dermal papilla, you guys can see the hair follicle and very, very, very tip of it there. You've got the bulb, and then you can see the arteries come down. So it's all interconnected. You know, what you eat, it's important to drink lots of water. It's important to eat proper foods because, again, it feeds your system. So whether it's internal and external as well coming through. Let's see. Yep. And then again, just another clarifying, like you've got your hair cuticle, the outer layer, your cortex, and your medulla. And that's just it's like a cross section of your hair, the actual hair itself. So the actual hair, not the bulb, but the actual hair. So if you were to cut the hair in half, that's what you would have. On the other flip side, you can see where it shows you the medulla, the cortex, and then cuticle, and then the very bottom you can see living tissue in the bulb. So it's really important, again, to be aware, as I'm trying to highlight, that it's all connected. So what you do put on your body and on your skin and on your scalp does connect to your inner self. Any questions before I kind of move on?
Debbie, I think you can keep going, and I'm just going to encourage people as she's going, you can put your questions inside the chat, and then we'll address all of them after.
Okay, perfect. All right. Again, just your hair, skin surface, sebaceous, sebum, which is what your hair actually, some people have like, they might say their hair is oily. Usually with straighter hair, it tends to be oilier because the follicle's straight. So the sebum is the oil glands that actually make the hair have some oils. Okay, so I'm going to look at a couple of things which are really common in hair care products. I don't know if you guys are close to your products. You can maybe grab something to take a look or take a look after, it's fine. But propylene glycol, butylene glycol, ethylene glycol as well. So basically, these are really cheap petrochemicals. They actually help to make the hair, the skin look like sort of have a smooth finish. However, they actually weaken the protein and the cellulose structure of the hair. It can also denature the skin's protein. So when you have products with these in them, such as like shampoos, underarm deodorants, baby products, creams, actually even toothpaste has them. So a lot of the toothpaste have it as well. So just be mindful because propylene glycol is a form of antifreeze. Now, some people say there's different types. Propylene glycol, there's different variations of it. And so, you know, the antifreeze one is different than the one they put in the products. They're still within the same family. And so it's a choice that people make, but just be mindful of that as well. Propylene glycol as well is in toothpaste. So, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of SLS.
No.
SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Yep. So it's actually a setting agent. You utilize that it actually gives the lather, like the lather. And a lot of people feel that if their shampoo doesn't lather, that their hair is not clean. So for example, our shampoo, we don't have any SLSs or SLESs in it. But what it does, it gently cleans the hair. So people usually find on their first lather, the first wash, not a lot of lather, but you know, by their second wash, they'll get more lather. So the cleaner the hair becomes, the more lather you get. But these will strip everything. They take the good oils and the bad oils out right away. And they usually tend to allow the hair to be very, very dry. So a lot of times people say, my hair is fine when it's wet, but then their scalp can get really dry. And this could also be a reason why that happens. And it also has a degenerative effect on the cell membranes as well. It corrodes the hair follicles, inhibits hair growth, and can also contribute to hair loss. And it also is a cause of cataracts. So be mindful, it's in your shampoo, soap, facial cleansers, personal care products as well. Good old mineral oil, another cheap petrochemical that is actually definitely not a green, or is it not renewable? It's a lot of things, especially it used to be in a lot in like baby oil, Johnson & Johnson baby oil. They've changed it over time just because there's a lot of, I guess, flashback from customers, because over time people are realizing these things really aren't good. As you can see on the left, these are a lot of the products they're in. So as you can see from the top, sort of hairspray, blushes, different foundations, deodorants, body lotions, going back up at the top, shampoos, eyeshadows, lipsticks, nail varnish, perfume, and even like the fake tan as well. So just be mindful again, looking at the label, reading the back of the label, understanding it is what you're putting in the body and what they can do is really, really important. Okay, there we go. And then fragrance. So a lot of times people don't realize that they'll pick up some shampoos, creams, body stuff, and they smell just so divine. Again, look at the back of the label, check and see what those perfumes are. Are they essential oils? Are they natural? Or they're a lot of times they're just synthetic fragrances, which are made like usually in a test tube, usually about 200 synthetic chemicals can make like one smell or scent. So they bioaccumulate in your organs. They can also cause headaches, like lung problems, skin irritations, dizziness, memory impairment, rashes, and more. And they're also very cheap and toxic imitation of the actual real herbal scent that you are thinking that, or possibly thinking that you're getting. And a lot of times too, you can see they'll say perfume and they'll have like a lot of numbers beside them, like 10, number 10, number 16, just a plethora of different ones. And again, each one has a bunch of other synthetic ingredients to create one, right? So it's not just like the one ingredient, it's a combination of different ones. Okay, parabens. So these again are cheap preservatives. They're used to inhibit microbial growth in products, but they are very highly toxic, and they can be known to cause the parabens, especially in deodorants, cancer causing. So again, you think about your armpit, think about the slides, the previous slide. So you're directing something right in the base, which is close to your lymphatic, so your lymph nodes, close to your breast. So you really want to be mindful because that's being absorbed right into your skin, like right into your pores, like right directly in. So be very mindful of that. And a lot of times you'll notice too, one product will have like more than one parabens. So they'll have like 3 or 4 preservatives or 5 preservatives. And I always wonder why they would ever have so much, because who knows what's in it. But if you ever look at it, take a look. Sometimes you'll see like 2 or 3 different types of quote unquote preservatives. All right. So again, other synthetic products, car bombers, synthetic colors, PVPs. Again, they're all in hair and skincare products, and they can be very, very toxic to our systems, right? Yeah, so they are hormone disruptors, and they can alter the chemistry of your normal functioning estrogen levels. They can impact fertility, menopause, your moods, length and severity of menstrual cycles in women. And ingredients such as SLSs, parabens, also are known to be endocrine disruptors, which means they are substances that alter your natural hormones as well. And again, they're in products like shampoos, as you can see in the image at the top, I don't have my pointer, eyeshadows, lipsticks, body lotions, deodorants, blushes, fake tans again, right?
Fake tans is on there too. That's serious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can see 22 chemicals. There's usually about 22 chemicals in like a fake tan. So those numbers also represent the amount of chemicals in the actual, like shampoo 15, eyeshadow 26, lipstick 33. If you put lipstick on, you wouldn't necessarily expect there to be as many chemicals in it, right? Over and above the other ingredients that's in them. Body lotion 32, deodorant 15, blush 16. Yep. So men Men have the same stuff too going on in their products, right? So they have the same things happen to them. They can get estrogen dominance in the body depending on the product that they're using. They get affected as well through these sort of things as well. So it's not just for women, it's men as well. Okay. There we go. Okay. And again, personal care products. It just goes on. So by switching to body products that do not contain endocrine disruptors, you allow your body to function properly by not flooding it with the burden of toxic chemicals caused by hormone imbalances. So, you're not going to get toxic overload, or the barrel effect, we call it. So your body sometimes, have you guys ever been in a situation where like, oh, you know what? I was able to eat that like 5 years ago. Now every time I eat it, I get a reaction. Or you'll be like, I was able to use that eyeshadow or that cream, a couple of years ago, and now every time I put it on my body, it's a problem. Has anybody ever had that experience? Just really unmute quickly. No? Okay. So, I mean, that's common.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, Debbie, that have had that situation happen to them. This is a common thing from the clients, people that I see. So I hear that very, very often. In fact, I spoke with a lady today. She's like, well, I can't eat grapes anymore, and I can't eat strawberries anymore, and I can't even use the skincare I used to use before. So yeah, that's real.
That's real. So it's called the barrel effect. So basically your body's able to tolerate things at a certain level, but then when it kind of gets an overload of it, it's too much, it will shut it down and it will say, no, we don't want that anymore. So that's really common as well. And as well as we get older, right, our body changes. So we really all want balance, hormones, happy moods, and easy periods in our space. So we talked about your skin being the largest organ. So as you can see, it says 26 seconds. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to hold your hand up for a second like this, or your hand or your arm, and I want you to just want you to take your hand, nothing's on it, and just rub like this. Just rub like that for a minute, like you're putting cream or something in, or something on your hair. And then I want you to stop, and then I'm gonna count. Right? So I'm gonna count. So I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. I might have been count a little sore anyways. So 26 seconds, all it takes for chemicals in your personal care products to enter your bloodstream. So, just be mindful, even when you're putting stuff in your hair, products in your hair, it's only 26 seconds. So several studies have been done to support the claim that anything that gets put onto the skin gets absorbed into your body, as your skin is your largest organ. So read your labels and avoid these harmful toxic chemicals, and you'll save so much money all the way around, particularly in regards to your healthcare. Right? So
if I can answer that, Debbie, not just the largest organ, but it's full of pores. I mean, some bigger than others. So it's just, when people think of hair, they're thinking of what's on my head, but your entire body is full of hair, even our face. I mean, it's smaller in some areas and larger in other areas, but our entire skin is covered with hair and hair follicles. And those hair follicles are only there because we have pores. So yes, hair comes out, but stuff goes in.
It's right.
A two-way hole.
Exactly. And that's really important to be mindful of that, because it's so true, right? Hence this understanding inside out and outside in health and wellness, right? So really read the ingredients section of your products. I think that's key, like to be educated, to understand what it is, It's really, really important. And I think, yeah, use clean, non-carcinogenic products. Nourish and feed your hair and your skin. Be wise when you're shopping. Don't be fooled anymore. Like, you make sure you're reading your stuff, and beware of rancid oil products masked with appealing scents. That is huge. A lot of times people will get oils or products that have oils in them, and they're really, I would say, unusually cheap. And what happens is oils have a shelf life. And so sometimes manufacturers buy oils that are like outdated or like been around for years and years and years and years, but the oil's still there. And I don't know if you guys know what oil smells like after a certain time when it gets really, really old, but it's not a pleasant smell. So a lot of times what companies will do is they'll purchase or use these rancid oils and then put a scent in them. So you're getting an oil or some kind of oil, body oil or something, hair oil, and you think, oh, it smells so great, you know what I mean? But it's actually not very good for you because it's already been rancid. So being aware of oils and looking at them, because if you look at oil, it's really, really watery, it's really, really thin, especially depending on the type of oil. You may want to sort of stay away from it. Or oils that have been mixed. So for example, olive oil, which we in our products we only use extra virgin cold pressed olive oil, but if you see like olive oil and coconut oil and avocado oil and and it just looks really runny and watery, and usually a lot of times they're clear because good olive oil usually has like a bit of a greenish yellowish color to it. Avocado oil as well. So it depends on the type of oils. Like argan oil is pretty clear, but you do want to be mindful of that and just be aware of it. Yeah. So advocate for yourself is my suggestion. Using products like Entyce, a plug like Entyce, because our products are designed to support the hair and the scalp, and make sure that you read your labels. So yes. So if there's any questions, please ask, or if you put that, I'm not watching the chat, or if there's any chat, Carolyn. And also make sure you do your research. So don't just believe what I say or Carolyn says, go and do your own research as well, right? So you can just educate and empower yourself.
Awesome. That's amazing. And I'm going to share a few nutrition tips with you. And I also want to encourage you to put some questions in the chat for Debbie. And I want to also just share my experience with her and her products. And what I love about Debbie is she's so passionate about, because she's changed her health by switching to natural products. But she's here and she's educating you, and she's not just giving commercials for Entyce Your Beauty. She's not telling you all about her product. She's telling you the real deal so that you can make your own decision. But I do want to say that she has incredible products. So I especially use her body cream. My family members use her hair products. And what I do want to tell you is that it's happened quite a few times where we'll either get clients, or this happened to my own sister, where she was looking all over for Canadian-made natural plant-based products, and she finally came across Entyce, and she's just like, "Where can I get it?" And they're like, "The Energy Shack." She's like, "What? That's my sister's business." So she came and she called me after her first wash, and she's like, "Carolyn, I don't want to insult you, but these products are not good." And I had remembered hearing from Debbie that you have to do like 3 washes because there's so much chemicals in our hair. We use so much chemicals, and it takes a while for all of that to get pulled out because these are totally natural products. So anyway, that being said, I said, you know what, try it 3 times, do 3 washes, and then let me know. And she came into the store, she's like, "Look at my hair, I love my hair, I love these products." So I'm so glad that I knew Debbie. I had heard this information from her because it does take a bit. She's got leave-in conditioners. And yes, she does have natural from Jamaica castor oil. So maybe Debbie, you can also, questions are coming in.
Get it brought up.
So I'm going to, I love all of these questions that are coming in. This is really great. And I want you guys to keep putting in the questions. I just want to share something with you for just like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, because there's going to be a part 2 next week. And if there's too many questions for the time, because I like to keep maximum to 8:30, we can see if Debbie can come on and answer more questions next time. But I think we'll be able to get to all the questions in the chat. But I just want to share a couple of things with you, just to sort of.
And Carolyn, just before you go, just letting them know as well. I mean, it's there. I don't know if they read it, but you know what you put on your body is just as important as what you put in your mouth. Like it's like people they want to take care of their health. They want to take vitamins and supplements and eat proper. That is fantastic, but don't negate that your outer part is just as important as well.
Absolutely. So Debbie, while I'm talking, if you want to go into the chat, you can see the chat up there and look at the questions. That way, as soon as I'm done, you can jump into the questions. But I just wanted to explain to you, because if you don't know, my name is Carolyn Nickel. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist. And I also, just in case, I also endorse a completely plant-based diet, but many, sorry, what was that? Okay, so many people there's a myth that as you're eating on a plant-based diet, you know, you're not going to get enough protein. And I want you to understand that your nails, your hair, this is like mostly all protein. So having rich protein in your diet is so important. Keratin, collagen, and elastin.
So questions from Donna is, all right.
Oh, sorry.
Is,
Debbie, Debbie, can you hear me?
Carolyn, do you want me to answer?
No, I'm just gonna share a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Answer all the questions at the end. Okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. Okay. So I just wanted to share with you that it's very important that you have these components in your diet. And it's an absolute myth that you can only get this from animal products, because the truth of the matter, which we'll share next week, is that too much of the wrong proteins actually inhibit your body from producing healthy hair, because it inhibits the protein and the amino acids coming together to form the collagen, to form the keratin. And many people will say, but collagen is only an animal product. I have news for you. You're an animal. So you can have collagen all on your own. You can imagine that. But so let's just talk about collagen, which accounts for most of the protein in your body. That is the most abundant protein in your system. And that helps with skin. It helps with, you know, not getting wrinkles, strong hair, strong nails, bone density, muscle mass. So lack of collagen can create a lot of issues. So the beauty is that the human body makes its own collagen with proper amino acid compounds. But here's the reality is that like most of the functions in the human body, as we get closer to age 50, our body starts to slow down its production. Sad to tell you, I am 47 almost. You know, my body's getting ready for death. That's just the reality. So everything starts to decay, but it's okay because you can still have very healthy hair and beautiful skin when you can eat properly and feed your body the right foods. So which foods are healthy for collagen? Your beans, your vitamin C, your onions and garlic, all your green leafy vegetables. These are incredible building blocks for your collagen. Important to know. What about keratin? Well, your hair grows by forming new cells at the base of the root. And these cells multiply to form this rod of tissue. And the rod cells move upward through the skin and new cells form beneath them. And as their nourishment supply gets cut off, you have hair. So your hair is actually dead. There's no nutrients here. When you're gonna have good shiny hair, it's what happened before, the nutrition that it got before it leaves and starts to form that hard protein called keratin. Same with your nails. It depends on the nourishment it's getting before. You saw that picture that Debbie shared with you, and you saw all the blood that runs below it, all the fat. We're going to talk about that next week. So it's very important that your body gets that nourishment before. And in order to get that, of course, again, you're seeing some of the same pictures, but kale is important, sunflower is important, mangoes are important, carrots and sweet potatoes, the beta-carotene, all of these are extremely important for that to form. Elastin. So many small little tropolastins are combined. These are soluble, small, tiny little molecules. But when they link together and they become complete, then they become insoluble, and they're very durable and they're very strong. And we get elastin, and we get healthy, strong hair, and we get wrinkle-free skin. We get strong, taut skin. We get strong nails. So these together are very important in order for you and I to have strong hair, skin, and nails. And where do you get them? Believe it or not, lots of vitamin C, your healthy grains, your gluten-free grains actually, your nuts, your seeds, especially cashews, almonds, walnuts, again, your beta-carotene, your squashes, your pumpkin. Olive oil is essential. And as you heard Debbie say, that is in her products. So folks, it's very important that you are eating a variety of plant-based food. You need copper, you need magnesium, you need all of these in order for the amino acids to form, to come together, to produce the collagen, the keratin, the elastin. This is extremely important. So next week, I'm gonna give it over to Debbie in a second, and next week, we're gonna talk about raw versus cooked, because you can cook some of these nutrients out. And we're also going to talk about what harms the body from these proteins coming together. There are protein inhibitors that we're actually putting in our system, and it's very important to know those things. So with that being said, I want to give it back over to Debbie to jump in the chat and to answer some of these questions.
I also want to say Caroline is so right when it comes to some of these very crucial. For example, magnesium. We actually use magnesium in our products as well. So a lot of these ingredients that you're seeing are also being used on an external level. And she's right. Hair technically is dead once it comes out of the follicles, dead. However, we spend a lot of money on dead hair, and so like we take time because we do so many things to the hair, and by helping to support it, I guess, it helps to kind of give it that additional longevity. She talked about the elastin. And so, for example, one of our products, the beverage and the pudding, really help to increase elastin. So when you take your hair, what you want to do is you want to take it and you want to take it and pull it as far as you can before it snaps. So if you pull it and it just snaps right away, it's usually very brittle. What you want to do is you want to be able to pull it and allow it to go straight and let it go, and it's still straight in the sort of the center of where you pulled. And so, so for example, our beverage really helps to support that, because like you've got like those pumpkin oil and the extra virgin olive oils and the magnesiums and the biotin. So all these things that she's talking about are so important to take internally. And as much as right, exactly. So if you pull your hair and it just snaps, that's not good. You need more elasticity in it, because when you comb your hair, every time you comb it, you don't want it to just pop and break. You want to be able to comb, allow it to kind of expand and come back. That's kind of that,
break it, actually.
right? So, anyways, I want to say that, but let me go to some of the questions here. So, sorry.
So Debbie, I can ask you the questions if you've had a chance to look at it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect.
Is castor oil in any of your products? All of your products? Do you use castor oil?
Yes. So we use extra virgin cold pressed castor oil. That we use two types. We do use a non-hexane. It comes from Jamaica. We get the Jamaican black castor oil. We actually get it made in Jamaica, roasted, dried, boiled, like the actual authentic way of doing it. So our castor oil is very pungent. Like it has a very pungent smell to it, but it's very nourishing. And so to answer your question, yes, it's not in every single product, but it is definitely in a lot of the products.
Okay, and you actually sell the castor oil on its own as well?
Yes, we do. We sell it by itself as well.
So Ivis is asking if your products are available at Healthy Planet, some of them, all of them. Where's the best place that they can get your products? And I'm going to put the website up in a moment.
Energy Shop.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right in the East End, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if I'm out of stock at anything, I send a quick message to Debbie and it's dropped off real quick.
Right. I would say the first place to go would be Energy Shack, right, in the East End. Depending on where you are in the city, you can go to Whole Foods as well as carrying the products now, and some Healthy Planet locations do have it. If you go to a Healthy Planet location, they don't have it, you could just ask them about it.
Okay, and I've shared the screen so you can see Entyce's website, entyce.ca. That's correct.
Order if they want it.
Yeah, and you can also go there. You can go to the Energy Shack juice bar. It's not available to purchase online, but we actually physically have them in the store today.
Yes.
Okay, so let's keep going. Is there any help for someone who has alopecia at the back of their hair? Their hair is relaxed.
Okay, so that question is, what kind of alopecia is it? Does the person know what kind of alopecia there is? There's different types.
They didn't say, Tammy. Tammy also says if there are any suggestions for hair growth for hair that seems stunted, and she was also saying her hair growth seems stunted. And Tammy, I'll address the foods for diverticulitis because you are right, you're very limited. But so she's got stunted hair growth and some alopecia happening at the back of her hair.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say that so it depends on what's caused it, and depends on that's a question that I couldn't answer like right away. I'd have to have a conversation with the person to understand what exactly is going on, what's caused it, what does that look like, how long has it been, like, you know, it's a little bit more of an in-depth conversation. But I would say that it would depend, because not some alopecia is traction alopecia. There's different types of alopecia, and so the question, is it alopecia? Because for example, I had a customer that her doctor, she kept having spots in her hair that were like, the doctor told her it was alopecia. But when I went over, because I do assessments, home assessments, but when I went over, it looked very odd, like, and I'm not a doctor by any means, but I do see a lot of hair. And so the scalp was it kind of had like little bubbles on it, little reddy, and it was sore. So I was like, you sure it's alopecia? And she's like, yeah, they told me it's alopecia. So I said, you know what? My suggestion would be to have a biopsy. I would get them to biopsy it, because I'm not saying it's not alopecia, but it might be something else. So she did. She actually went to a dermatologist. They biopsied it. They took scrapes and took some of it off, and it came back. She had something called lichen planus. It wasn't alopecia. So that's a conversation that, and I'm always mindful to say I have to have more of a deeper conversation about that, like more of an assessment.
Okay, so Tammy, I don't know, Tammy, if you can get in touch with Debbie, or you can book a consultation with myself and I can get you in touch with Debbie, because
Yep.
there's, and I appreciate your questions with the diverticulitis, eating a variety of foods. So yes, someone with diverticulitis is going to have trouble with beans. There's no question about it. With seeds, with nuts. Again, that's something that I would have to customize a meal plan for you. But very real, very honest questions, and there is help and there is hope for you. Debbie, you have a product that helps with hair growth?
Yes, so we do have a Dht blocker. So Dht stands for dihydrotestosterone. So what happens is, sort of like just in a roundabout, so your hair at the base, there's something called dihydrotestosterone. So it's testosterone that gets converted to dihydrotestosterone through through a synthetic, it's through a process of 5-alpha reductase. It's just a process that it does in the body. But basically what it does, remember we looked at the picture of the hair shaft at the bottom, and basically what they do, they're like, you think of them like little building blocks, bubbles that kind of sit at the base of the hair. And what they start to do is, the more they build and get bigger, they start to stifle the hair, so the hair can't actually grow up. So we have products that do a couple of things. We have the Dht blocker, has herbs that stimulate hair growth, stimulate scalp circulation, but also blocks DHT. So not everybody that's having a hair loss issue is having a DHT issue. So that's why it's a kind of 3-in-1 combination, because you don't want to sort of treat just one and not stimulate hair growth and stimulate scalp circulation. You kind of want to do it together. It is a disciplined product. You have to use it every 12 hours because every 12 hours you want the herbs to be absorbed into that area as well. But it's very effective. But again, it is a disciplined product. You don't need a lot. You just barely tap it, but then you rub it into that space for a good 2 to 3 minutes, really, really lightly. That does two things. One, it allows it to actually absorb properly. And then two, it also brings blood flow to the area.
Wonderful. Okay, so Donna, who was asking about the castor oil, is actually allergic to castor oil. So she wants to know, do you have like any products without castor oil? But I thought I heard you say you do have a lot with olive oil in them.
Yeah, so we have, like, so for example, the shampoos don't have castor oil. The conditioners do. The creams don't, because we do sell body creams as well. And so I'm just trying to think in terms of.
And are the ingredients listed on your website? Would she be able to go on your, so she can check there. So Donna, there's definitely a good amount of products without the castor oil. Do you have any natural hair dyes?
No.
Some people don't want to go naturally gray like me. I know.
And it's true. But you know, the beautiful thing is, for example, the beverage in the pudding. So people that have gray hair, it's not a color. I don't want to say that, but over time, what it starts having, because the products are made with herbs, so they tend to be they're dark in color. So as you use them, they start to slowly absorb into the hair. So for example, I have gray hair, but more toward the end, or more like a kind of a browny silvery color. They're not very dark. So, but someone that's looking to just color, like just do a one color, we don't have that.
Okay, all right, no problem. So there's also a question, is aloe vera gel good for your hair as a leave-in?
As a leave-in, aloe vera gel. As a leave-in, well, I would say depending on what you're trying to do. So when you say leave-in, are you doing a leave-in like a wash and go leave-in, or are you just doing like a leave-in like with a conditioner?
Like a leave-in as a leave-in conditioner. I find that it starts to get white and flaky, the aloe vera.
That's what I was gonna say. It depends on how they're using it. Like if it's a wash and go, maybe not so much. But if you're combining it with like a conditioner, then you know what I mean. It's a little bit different. Okay. We do use aloe in our products, but we don't have like aloe by itself will tend to it can flake.
Okay.
as you're mentioning.
Okay, we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to get through this.
Sure.
And Tammy says the alopecia type is unknown. So Tammy, if you can get in touch with myself or Debbie, we'd love to do a consultation with you and just help you a little further. Nancy's asking a couple things. Number one, do you recommend any deodorants that actually work when you're sweating? And also, so that's one. I can share with, anyway, do you have a deodorant that actually keeps you dry and chemical free? Any recommendations?
Yeah, I tend to make our deodorants as well, but there are a couple that I do use. There's one, it's a pink bottle, it's in a pink jar. It actually is pretty effective. I know we've tried what's it called? I'd have to look at the name because I don't pick it up. My kids pick it up. I just know it's got pink on it. But it is pretty good.
You can think about that one.
Yeah.
She's also saying that if you do have hair that is a little dry because it's been colored, are your shampoos very hydrating for colored hair? But I know you have the beverage. Now, this is not, if it's the same Nancy that I know, it's not black hair, it's white hair or European hair. So would you recommend?
Right. So our shampoo and conditioners we have two types. We have one for straight and wavy hair, and then we have one for curly, kinky, coily hair. So the formulations are different of the two shampoo and conditioners. And because, as I was saying to you, as mentioned earlier, the products don't strip the hair. So you will be able to use it, especially if you've colored, and you will still feel that it's not drying for the hair. Because that's what the FLS does, right? It strips the good and the bad oils. And as Caroline mentioned earlier, sometimes people use the shampoo and it's like, oh, they feel like, okay, I don't have a good lather, it's not very good. But what's happening is that you have a lot of product or dirt or debris in the hair. So even if it's, when you shampoo the first time, even if it's not lathering, you still rub it and treat it as if it's lathering because it's still cleansing, it's still cleaning out whatever is there. And then usually by that second rinse, you'll have more. Sometimes if you've got a lot of products and a lot of things going on in the hair, like in terms of buildup, you might have to do a third wash, right? But you'll find that it will eventually start to lather because now your hair has gently been cleansed, right? Like when you wash your face, you don't want to use something that's going to strip your face dry. You want to gently cleanse it, right? You might have to do it twice or 3 times, but you gently cleanse it.
Okay, great. And I think I can address the last 2 questions. What causes hair loss and thinning? How can we repair our hair after this experience? And our thoughts on Arbonne. So a couple things is hair loss and thinning can be a number of things. It could be a lot of use of chemicals. It could be low iron. You could have hyperthyroidism. You could have high stress. That also creates a lot of
cortisol will wreak havoc in the body too, right?
Absolutely. So so there's a lot of things, and it can be repaired, yes, with a proper diet and by changing what you're putting on the outside. But again, if you do need more information or you want, more of an assessment, I'm just going to share my screen again. You can contact the Energy Shack by emailing me. And even if you want information about Debbie's products, you can call the store or you can email us directly. I get all those emails, info@energyshackjuicebar.com. If you're struggling with any health issue, I would be so happy to do an assessment of your health and be able to give you some suggestions. And as you know, as you've heard, Debbie also does hair assessments. So happy to work together, the two of us. And then the question about the Arbonne products. Arbonne products, unfortunately, as soon as you get too popular, yes, Arbonne at the front of it, Debbie talked about front label and back label. So at the front of it, it'll say how it's like plant-based and so many fruits and fruit extracts, but you turn Arbonne products back,
imagery,
and you will see all those chemicals that she had talked about. And I've had firsthand experience with Arbonne, and it's really, they're not healthy products, unfortunately. And I'm sorry if there's any Arbonne representatives here, but it's a big gimmick. Yes, there are natural plant products in there. Yes, there are fruit extracts, but I would not eat, you know, a cookie with poison in it. So, you know, a little bit of water with a glass of water with a little bit of cyanide, I don't think I want any.
Right.
So,
And she's right. And on that note, I mean, Arbonne does a great job, because I had a friend that was showing me the Arbonne, Mommy Journal Arbonne, and they do a great job in putting up the book together, and they have all, like, they'll say, for example, like in their shampoo, they've got coconut oil, olive oil, all these different oils, but then they don't tell, that's all they say. They don't tell you about anything else until you actually, you know, you get it. It's not all listed in their catalog. So if you're selling Arbonne, call me. You sell Entyce instead.
all right, guys, I want to respect the time. It's 8:33. So we're going to have part 2 next week. I'm going to try to convince Debbie to join us because I feel like there's a bit more she can share. And I'm going to talk to you about foods that are inhibiting that protein, the amino acids coming together, and what you can also do to help that fat layer and that blood be so much cleaner and full of nutrients to produce beautiful hair. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great